Well, good day, Lionhearts. It's your old pal Jordan the Lion, your old pal Ja. How are you all doing today? I hope you said great. We are coming to you from the great state of West Virginia, and we are making our way north through West Virginia today. Now, whenever I think of West Virginia, being a Hank Williams fan, I always think about Hank's last ride when Hank passed away. There's actually something on our route today that I have never seen involved in that story. Pretty big place too. So we're gonna stop and visit one of Hank's last stops and hopefully investigate the Flatwoods monster. Daze with Jordan the Lion and you all. It begins right now. Hank Williams had a ton of hits in his short life, and he wasn't even 30 years old when he passed away. But this last ride, he was off on his way from Alabama to go do a string of 4 New Year's shows and ended up passing away along the way. Are you a Hank Williams fan? You live in my house, you are, right? It was about 6:30 a.m. and they were coming from Bluefield, where the state line was, and the place that we're gonna stop up here is where Hank's young driver pulled the Cadillac off and stepped out to stretch his legs. Riding down this road just makes me sad. Right there on the left. Hank's last stop. This is heartbreaking. He had a very young driver that was taking him out on this tour, and the poor guy had been driving all night and finally decided to pull off. He was making stops, you know, along the way, but for a young kid, that's got to be a tough drive, and especially with a country music superstar in your car. Pulled up here and got out, stretched his legs, went in, used the bathroom, and then checked in the back of the car on Hank and noticed that Hank was stiff. And he started looking a little bit further and noticed that Hank wasn't breathing, and that somewhere along the road Hank had most likely passed away. So he continued up to Oak Hill to get some help. Let's get some food while we're here. They don't have a plaque or anything like that, but they do up the road in Oak Hill. Small little place, but look at that wall. Honoring Hank. God love him. He suffered with spina bifida his whole life. He was in just constant pain. There's his death certificate. In my opinion, definitely one of the top 5 favorite, greatest songwriters of all time. His songs could just make you cry. See, that was supposed to be one of the big shows. That was going to be one of them right there in Canton. The weather was just going to be too bad. That's why he was driving, couldn't fly. I'm going to go ahead and order some food. She said they're known for their hot dogs, so she said the standard way to get it's chili, onion, mustard, and slaw. So that's what we're going to get. His car could have very well been right here with him passed away. We don't know where in the parking lot it would have been, but after he passed away, when Hank Jr. was old enough to drive, he drove that car around as his first car, I think he said. What's neat about this place, the woman that owns it and that is working here was telling me, she said this place was closed for 15 years, and she said when we took it over and started kind of renovating it to open it up, we were going to change the name and everything, but people kept stopping by because of Hank, and they were like, well, yeah, we just kind of realized, like, yeah, we should stick with the name that it was when, you know, when he was here. Here we go. I've heard about these legendary West Virginia hot dogs. First bite, that's one of the best hot dogs I've had in a long time.
People don't make homemade anymore. They buy it out of a can.
Yeah, you make your own chili, huh?
I make my own chili too. Every day. Make the slaw every day.
You know how nice this place was? I came in and asked for a coffee, and she made me a coffee, and then I asked for the hot dog later, and when I asked her how much I owed her, she said $2.50. I said, for both? She said, oh, I don't even sell coffee. You just I just, you know, drink it myself, and when you asked for one, I figured I'd make you one. How nice is that? She told me to come out here and make sure I showed the sign on my way out, because the post and everything and the frame and all that stuff is the original one that was here, but she said over time kids had thrown rocks and broken out the actual sign, so she found a photo and had the sign replicated on the original bracketing and everything. That's pretty cool, I think. Can't believe I'd never gone there. I didn't realize it was so close to Oak Hill. I guess every time I come out here before, it brought me from a different direction, but if you want to see Hank's last car, it is in the Hank Williams Museum in Montgomery, Alabama on display. You just can't take photos. Hey, an old TV station. The first stop is the Oak Hill Library right up here. There's a plaque right here. I've shown this before, but it's a nice memorial. There's an even better one right up the road. They tell the whole story, and we'll go up there and I'll read that to you, so you, if you're not familiar with Hank's tale at the end, here it is. Notice George Hamilton, who played Hank Williams Memorial. 17th of September, he was born 1923, and he died on January 1st, 1953. January 1st, 1953, in Oak Hill, West Virginia, Hank Williams Sr. made his last stop on his last tour. This memorial is dedicated to his fans who wish to keep his memory and music alive forever. So let's go up the road and check out the whole story. Here was the medical center where he was pronounced dead. If you come over to this little section of the downtown area where there's a band shell, everything, you can see they have a pretty detailed description of what happened. Let's read both sides. It says the legendary Hank Williams recorded 30 hit singles, including 7 #1 hits on the Billboard Top 10 country western charts in 6 years. However, his erratic behavior caused by a mixture of alcohol and narcotics caused WSM's Grand Ole Opry to fire him in August 1952. It was always said he drank because of the pain of the spina bifida in his back, so there wasn't just recreational abuse or anything. It says in an effort to revive his stalled career, he left his mother's boarding house in Montgomery, Alabama on December 30th for 4 holiday concerts. Charles Carr, the 18-year-old son of a taxi service owner, drove the singer's 1952 Cadillac convertible. After an overnight stop at the Redmont Hotel in Birmingham and some rest and medical attention at the Andrew Johnson Hotel in Knoxville, they encountered weather delays in Tennessee. Dense fog thwarted an attempt to travel by airplane. The singer was forced to skip a pair of New Year's Eve concerts in Charleston, and they raced towards Ohio for 2 New Year's Day shows in Canton. In the pre-dawn hours of January 1st, 1953, on a road south of Beckley, the teenage driver found the singer unresponsive, stretched out on the back seat of the Cadillac. Carr, the driver, rushed to Oak Hill Hospital. The 29-year-old singer, who penned such hits as Hey Good Lookin' and I Saw the Light, was pronounced dead of heart failure at 7 a.m. The staff of Tyree Funeral Home embalmed and dressed the body and drove the singer's body in a hearse to Montgomery for services. An estimated 20,000 mourners overflowed and surrounded the city's auditorium on a snowy Sunday on January 4th. Within a year, publishers released 4 more songs that earned the hit status, including classics Kalijah and Your Cheatin' Heart. The route of Knoxville to Blaine to Bristol to Bluefield to Princeton to Mount Hope to Oak Hill remains a sacred pilgrimage for those many fans of the singer-songwriter. Sad, sad story, but I just couldn't come through here and knowing there was a stop we hadn't seen and not stop and visit. Well, kid, you ready to continue on the road? You love this life. I've noticed that might be your favorite thing in the world, is just laying here while I drive. Our next stop's about an hour away. We stayed in Beckley last night, Beckley, West Virginia, and I was kind of curious if anybody famous was from there, and there were 2 people. Little Jimmy Dickens got his start on the radio there at that university, and Chris Sarandon, who played Prince Humperdinck in Princess Bride, also was from that town. There's a sign here talking about the burning of Sutton. December 29th, 1861, Confederate partisans attacked a company the 1st West Virginia Cavalry at Sutton. After ammunition ran low, the Federals left with part of the Confederate force in pursuit. When the Confederates returned, they found the town afire. Reportedly begun when one house was torched by partisans attempting extortion, the fire destroyed part of Sutton. We've made it to the town of Sutton, West Virginia, where the Flatwoods Monster Museum is. Check out this. Dress better, pay less. Our gents in children's clothing. Nice. Check out some of the statues here in town. I don't know if it's a local sculptor or what. You know me, any kind of crazy monster story or anything there is, like a Mothman, I want to see it, I want to learn about it. So let's check out the Flatwood Monster Museum. Look over there. They even have a festival here. To check that out sometime. Looks like it's in September, the beginning of September. It says this is a rendering, artist rendering of the Flatwood Monster based on Kathleen May's description. He's also known as the Green Monster.
He's a little weird. I mean,
I would love to leave here saying that I saw it. These are great. They've made their own like Beavis and Butthead style one about the monster. September 12th, 1952 Flatwood sighting location. So that's where the Mays saw him, Kathleen May. Look at all that. I love the lore of this kind of stuff. Well, sir, you are here as our resident green monster expert. Can you tell people what the museum's about, what the story is here, why people come to find out about the Flatwoods Monster?
Sure. So the Flatwoods Monster Museum sits in downtown Sutton, which is just a couple miles away from Flatwoods proper. And so basically the origin of this museum is we've been here since October 2018. And I actually, this is actually a project of the Braxton County Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Excellent.
So we needed a new location for like a visitor center, small visitor center. And this property we really liked, but it was kind of overkill size-wise. And we had already started in our past location, started developing a little bit of a Flatwoods Monster collection. And so I convinced my board of directors, hey, let's make it also the Flatwoods Monster Museum because so many people come to this area that are interested in it, and there really wasn't a whole lot you could do that had to do with the Flatwoods Monster. So, so we just started, we just set up and put all of our stuff out, and it's half Flatwoods Monster Museum, but I would say at least 99% of all foot traffic is for the Flatwoods Monster.
So what's the Flatwoods Monster? Why do people come out here?
Yeah, so the Flatwoods Monster was seen in Flatwoods on September 12th, 1952. It was seen by a group of 8 individuals, 6 kids and 2 adults. So the youngest being 9 years of age, oldest being 32. And so what started the whole thing was all these kids were outside playing, and they see this object, bright object, appear to streak through the sky, and it appeared to land on a nearby hilltop. So, being a bunch of curious kids, they couldn't help but to go see what this might have been. So they head that direction, and they were going to. So 2 of the boys were Eddie and Fred May. They were brothers, and they were going to be passing their home. So they ran in there real quick, told their mom Kathleen, "Hey, this is what we just saw. This is what we're doing. We're going up on this hill." And she thought, well, some adults should probably go with you. 1, who knows what you saw, and then 2, they were actually going onto a neighbor's property. So it was actually a small farm. It was the Bailey Fisher farm. So, so they all grouped together, head that direction, and says they're going up through the woods. And this was pretty. It would have been pretty dark. It wouldn't have been pitch black, but it would have been pretty dark for the time. It was after 7 p.m. So they're going up this trail through the woods, and as they're going up to the top of the hill, it's kind of lit up, and they think, oh, that whatever's up there must be what we just saw. Well, immediately to their left, they notice movement, and they turn their flashlight to it, and they see this roughly 10-foot tall figure in the woods, and sort of as they noticed it, it noticed them. And it appeared to be, the way they described it, is levitating, just inches off the ground. But it started coming toward them. Of course, they got scared, turned and ran back down the hill, and called the police. And so the police came shortly after, and then shortly behind that was the people from the news. Once the police came out, they sort of checked the area, and they didn't really find much. The only thing, though, that still lingered was they noticed that it had the awful smell.
Interesting. And did the description from all the 8 people coincide with the same description?
More or less. Now wouldn't have a ton of detail, but they all more or less described like a large round red head, or like head-like object surrounded by a dark, spade-shaped object.
Yeah.
With a body that came down. Now some described it as metallic looking, some described it as like colorless, and some described it as green. But I actually feel like that those aren't inconsistencies, but a possible description of the same thing.
Yeah.
So like if something,
different texture from the light,
or like if something is potentially reflective, it may look devoid of
iridescent,
color.
or
It may look dark, or if it looks green, it could be reflecting foliage.
interesting.
So, who knows?
Thank you for filling us in. Everybody knows to come here and check out the Flatwoods Monster Museum in Sutton.
Absolutely, yeah, please come on down.
So look at all the interesting different things that have either been made or written about this story. Pieces of art, freaking mask, soda cans. That's pretty convincing. Those are the witnesses. Pretty convincing when you have 8 people that saw something and they have that big of an age discrepancy, because I feel like at some point, if they were lying, the kids would have accidentally let on or told that or something. So interesting.
You have a great day.
No mention of any sound that it makes, or that it was threatening or harmful or any way. Said that they actually sold these to help fund the kindergarten program in the 70s. Of course, this has been talked about on all kinds of like monster shows and documentaries and things like that. Yeah, that is really cool. That kind of like brings it more to life. You see all the people right over here looking onward as the monster is right there. That's so cool.
She wished she had more people, and she wished that she had some kid figurines.
So apparently there's a little bit more of the Flatwood monster to see, so let's go see it. Really cool story. That guy really, that's awesome that he made that suggestion and got them to embrace a little bit more of the Flatwoods monster. Because that kind of stuff is so good for tourism, and small towns like this need tourism. Helps their economy. Cobblestone streets. Don't see that often. Look at that old bridge over there. Can't drive on it, of course, but what we're looking for, I believe, is down here, he said. He said we wouldn't see it from the road. So if you go over here to the Elk River Hotel and you look in that corner, look what they have. Elk River Hotel. Bears. Watch out for bears. So they have 4 of these things all over the county, they told me. But we're gonna just check out one of them today. Look at that guy. It's got steps so you can sit there. How cool is that? Don't forget to look around though when you're out here, because like they said, you can see bears or even one of these.